Number 10 most smelliest animal on earth is the sea hare. You may be wondering, what the heck is a sea hare? First of all, smell isn't even really a thing underwater. I'll get to that in a second because it's basically like smell. It's really similar to smelling with. You may be wondering, why is this big ass sea slug called a sea hare? Well, first of all, it's big, which makes it like more like a rabbit. And second of all, it's elongated rhinopores and rounded body and makes it look like a sitting rabbit, which is why they would call it a sea hare, because it's like a hare in the water. But why is he smelly? Okay, well, first of all, some species of sea hare release a purple pigment, like, which is basically ink that comes out of their behind. You may be wondering, what does this thing do? Well, basically, it short circuits the predator's olfactory nerves, which is really bad because the predator would not want to have their olfactory nerves short circuited. And also, do you know they're covered in a poisonous, clear, like basically slime? So they basically have slime on top of them. And you know the people in China eat them? It's actually like a common gourmet dish is to have them deep fried and served with a pungent sauce, which is kind of crazy, but I guess that's pretty badass if they're eating these sea hares that literally make like toxic clouds, like caustic from Apex Legends. Number 9 most smelliest animal ever, the king rat snake. The king rat snake is a large species of colorbird snake found in Southeast and East Asia with a total length of 240 centimeters, or for my fellow Americans, 7.9 feet, often preying on mice, birds, frogs, and even other snakes, which is kind of crazy because if you were a snake, it's basically like snake.io because you're eating other snakes. You'd be like, what the hell? I just ate another snake. Yeah, that's me. And you may be wondering, why are they stinky? Because they have highly developed post-anal glands, which means basically when these snakes are picked up, they often defecate heavily, and it secretes a pretty stinky odor. So that's why they're called the stink snake. Number 8 most smelliest animal, the leather anteater. Although the southern tamandua, also known as the leather anteater, is basically an anteater that has a little bit of a stinky secret, you could say. At the base of its tail, you guessed it, its anal gland releases a very, very, very foul odor to mark its territory and prevent predators from getting it, which is kind of cool. But it probably doesn't smell good because it's being fueled by basically ants, because pretty much all they eat is ants and termites. But it's actually not really true. They eat ants and termites at an almost even rate, and then sometimes they eat bees too, which I would not want to eat a bee because, dude, I don't want to get like stung on my insides. The heck? That's probably why they always so like stinky, because bees probably like PMO. So like, I'm gonna start stinking up the place because bees are annoying. Number 7 most smelliest animal, the hoatzin bird, also known as a stink bird. Why would they call this bird a stink bird? It's a pretty chill bird from the looks of it. Well, actually, you're wrong. The leaves that they eat have aromatic compounds that are really hard to digest. So how do they digest them? Through fermentation, bacterial fermentation to be specifically, which basically means that they smell like dookie, like all the time. That's why they're called the stink bird. And actually, they smell so bad that locals will not eat them unless it's absolute dire times of hunger, which means like they could be slightly hungry and they see a hoatzin bird, they'd be like, I'm not even gonna eat you because you have a foul odor that is putting me off. The number 6 most smelliest animal is the bombardier beetle. You're thinking Bombardier from Arc Raiders? No, not the Bombardier from Arc Raiders. The Bombardier beetle is actually way better than the Bombardier from Arc Raiders. Let me explain. The Bombardier beetle basically has these 2 chemicals inside of it: hydrogen peroxide and hydrogen something that I don't even know how to pronounce, so I'm not even gonna try to pronounce it. But basically, what this does, they when they combine together, they make a freaking and they emit a gas, and they reach almost a near boiling point of water, like almost instantaneously, and they shoot out basically like peeing kind of. He basically pees out like basically acid onto other insects, and the other insects are like, they're not acid proof like he is. So basically when they get sprayed with this thing, they go, I'm melting, like the witch from Wizard of Oz. And so they get melted, and then let's just say that they basically don't come back after that. And it also smells really bad when they get melted, so that's why they're the number 6 most smelliest animal on the planet. You may be thinking, actually they're an insect, not an animal. Well, insects are part of the animal kingdom, you freaking chud. That's me snapping in resistance to your claim. The number 5 most smelliest animal is the muskox. You may be thinking, I bet the muskox is pretty musky because he smells bad. He's on this list. He's number 5, and his name's muskox. You'd be right. You may be wondering, why do they smell bad? It's actually to attract mates. They secrete a little thingy from their prepucial gland, which basically means it's like gets in their pee, and they distribute this scent, which I don't know how it attracts the females, but whatever floats their boat, I guess, over all the fur of their abdomen. And then guess what? The females will sit and watch while the males headbutt each other like rams, like over and over again until the one that wins. And then the dominant muskox is like, you like the smell of my musk that is on my abdomen fur that came from my urinary system? Yeah, I bet you do like that. It probably smells like good urine, but that's what only the female would think that it smells good. If I smelled it, I'd say, boy, you musty as hell, boy. You better like take a shower or something. Number 4 most smelliest animal on the earth, Tasmanian devil. Where do you think the Tasmanian devil lives? Probably the island of Tasmania. But you know they used to live in mainland Australia 3,500 years ago before going extinct. But that's not important. We're talking about why they stink. Well, first of all, they literally eat dead bodies, like one of their main sources of food. So I don't think your dookie would smell very good if you only ate dead bodies. And second of all, they literally have group pooping sessions and group eating sessions in the same spot, like pretty often, which is pretty freaking gross. Like, why are they eating and pooping in the same spot? And by the way, in the same group area, it's pretty gross because I don't even, they probably just like poop on each other and then like, dude, that literally just pooped on me. My bad, bro. I didn't even mean to poop on you. There's probably a conversation between them. And that's pretty bad. So that's why Tasmanian devils are the number 4 most smelliest animal on the planet. Number 3 most gluttonous animal, most smelliest animal in the world. Wolverine. You might be wondering, Wolverine? James Logan Howlett Wolverine? No, not that. Actually, Gulo Gulo Wolverine. And you might be wondering, why did I say gluttonous at the beginning? That's a weird thing to mess up smelliest with. It's because Gulo Gulo translates to glutton, which is mean Wolverine is basically the most gluttonous animal ever. And I'm sure Wolverine Logan James Howlett is also freaking pretty gluttonous because I mean, look at him. He looks gluttony. Anyways, the difference between Wolverine and most of the things that I've just talked about is they actually release their stinky stuff from, you guessed it, their anal gland, but not for defensive purposes, but actually to mark their territory and to signal sexual availability, which is kind of weird. Because again, it's kind of similar to the muskox. Like, I would not want to crack somebody who smells like dookie, but that's just me. I'm sure there's people who are like into it. Number 2 most smelliest animal, the striped skunk. What? The skunk is supposed to be the number 1 most smelliest animal. My literally goat of smelly animals is supposed to be the skunk. Why is he not the number 1? I'll tell you why, because he basically has like a way cooler version of him that is way more smellier. But anyways, maybe wondering, okay, well, what do they make them smell? Have you guys ever heard of a skunk spraying potent oily liquid from their anal glands located underneath their tail? Probably, because that happens to people all the time as they get skunked on. That's my new catchphrase. If I beat you and I also defecate on you at the same time, you got skunked on. You may be wondering, well, doesn't tomato soup basically just full counter skunks? Actually, that is completely false. Tomato soup doesn't do anything about it. Actually, the Humane Society of the United States of America recommends a mixture of hydrogen peroxide, baking soda, and dishwashing soap. That'll basically make you skunk proof. So that's how you hard counter the skunk meta right now. But I'm actually going to show you the S tier better version of the skunk, like right now, is about to happen. The number 1 most smelliest animal on earth. Drum roll, please. Someone get the drums. The striped polecat. What the hell? That's literally just a skunk. You just gave it a new name. That's not a skunk. In fact, it's actually more closely related to an African striped weasel instead of a striped skunk. So it's actually a separately thing. It's not the same thing. And also, they spray a blinding chemical from their that's it, anal gland underneath their tail into the predator's eyes, and basically means they blind them, which is already bad. But it's also not more bad than the skunk because it's literally stronger sulfur smell than a skunk, which is sulfur smells like rotten egg smell. So basically, you get sprayed on by an African striped polecat, and you're literally just gonna get freaking blinded and smelly probably. They also call it Zorilla, which is kind of cool. It's like Godzilla, so it's like ah, but instead of being Godzilla, it's a striped polecat. All right, those were the top 10 most smelliest animals on Earth. Subscribe and follow for more animal tier list, but I'm not gonna do smelly again because I just did that, so it's not gonna be smelly animals. It's gonna be like top 10 most animals that are the most badass.